Each morning before I start work for the day, I sit down and plan my day digitally. I have a couple of different systems that I oscillate between depending on my mood, energy, motivation levels, and how organized I need to feel. The first system that I'm going to go over is what I call my neurotypical system. These are great for a very typical day of moderate motivation and mood. And this system includes sitting down with the Good Notes app with a personalized planner and to-do list that I have created that synthesizes all of the separate to-do list and habits apps that I have for different areas of my life. And this specific page that I use is inspired by the Productivity Planner. I used this journal until I invested into my tablet and I loved it. This is what a typical day looks like, where you start with a gratitude and an intention for the day, and then you list your tasks by priority. It includes a reflection section as well as a daily calendar. And as you can see, my personalized planner looks very similar to that. I have a space for my calendar, a space for prioritizing my tasks by importance, and then I always start off the day with my gratitude and my intention. So then the thing that's a little bit different about the productivity planner is that I will take my to-do list items from separate apps, screenshot them, and then add them into this planner. This is super easy to do on my tablet, but could also be handwritten. Hello, Editing Cat here, and I just wanted to pop in because I feel like I didn't really explain why I have different apps for different things that I then just put in one place. Why not just have one app with all of my to-do items? Each app that I use has its own separate purpose for its own different section of my life. So I have my personal app, my work app, my calendar with appointments. That way I can view each app separately if I need to. But then as I'm planning my day, I can see everything in one place from all of my apps. So I'm gonna go through the apps that I use daily in this planner and their purpose, why I use separate apps for different things, starting with the Habits app. So this is going to be this section up here, and every day I can see, based on these icons, what are the habits that I am attempting to do daily or every other day, or any task that I just want to keep track of and have data on how often I am completing it. Anything that improves my life but doesn't necessarily need to be done, it's more of an optional choice that improves my day, that goes into the Habits app, like exercising Stella, flossing, which I'm terrible at, taking my vitamins, things like that. And so when I make a fresh page for the day, this Habits, because it's the same thing every day, just repopulates. But what I used to do is I just have it as a widget on my home screen, and I would screenshot that little section to copy and paste in my planner, just like that. So then in my little workout plan box, this is not something I have a separate app for. Usually I just list the workouts that I want to complete in my calendar in my ideal week. And so I will either just refer to my calendar, or I will just write out what my workout plan for the day is. Today we're doing a 1.5-mile run. So next in the calendar section, this is for any scheduled appointments, meetings that I have for the day, but it also contains my ideal week, the day view of that, which I will add to my daily planner so I can see ideally what tasks, what projects am I working on today. It's a suggestion, not a rule, but I like to see what I could potentially accomplish in the day. I'll open up my calendar app, I will screenshot, and then I will copy and paste into that box. This green box was for my Asana app. That was where I kept my to-do list for my job. So that was kept separately from the rest of my to-do lists. That way I could know that, I can ignore that post 5 p.m. or whenever I'm stopping work for the day. Ever since I was laid off, I have not been using this Asana block, but it is there for work tasks. And then down at the bottom, I have this section that is specifically for the coursework that I want to complete today towards my master's, and then how long that I think it's going to take me. And so I will just jot down Module 3, Section 4. Just goals for that very specific part of my life. That's not something I would put into habits really. I will schedule time for it on my ideal week, but this actually helps me get into the nitty-gritty of during that time, during my ideal week, what do I want to accomplish? And so I have that space for that down there. And then finally, the big one, my Things app. And this is where I keep most of my to-dos that are personal in nature. This is also something that I keep on my home screen. And what I do from here is I look at my today lists, anything that I've scheduled that I want to do today. The great thing about this app is if I don't complete these tasks today, they will roll over to tomorrow and they will continue to populate on my today page. I'll take a screenshot and then I will add that into my planner so that everything from all of my to-do lists are now in one place. So every morning I open up GoodNotes, I go to this planner, I swipe down to create a new page, and then I populate it with all of these to-do list items. From here, I then make my top 3 tasks of the day. And I think this is a great system for organization and prioritization. If there is only one thing that I can get done today, what do I want it to be? What is the most important item? And a lot of people will recommend that you start on that item first. You work in order of priority. So if there's something you've been putting off that needs to be done, you start with that. These bubbles down here are if I want to do like Pomodoro. And then once I've finished my tasks for the day, my favorite thing to do, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I love to strike them in like a white so that they kind of disappear instead of crossing it off. I like at the end of the day to have a clean to-do list with less items on it rather than seeing a bunch of items that are scribbled out that feels unorganized and chaotic to me. Lots of people love that. I love to just, once I finish a habit, I'll just erase it by using a white pen. Down here, once I finish a task, I'll just erase it. And then there's less things on the page, which honestly makes me feel like I've gotten a lot done and it feels like I don't have a lot left to do, which is the feeling that I want to feel at the end of the day. But then at the end of the day, I go through all of my apps and actually check them off and organize them for the next day. So everything during the day happens in my planner, and then my apps are just what I bring in at the beginning of the day and then refresh at the end of the day. All right, so that system works very well for most days. However, this next system is what I use for days where I am seriously lacking in motivation. And that is a variation on the Pomodoro technique. Now, there are a lot of videos out there on Pomodoro, and this is just a system where you completely focus, you remove all distractions on a single task for a set amount of time, usually 25 minutes or 50 minutes, and then you take a short break. 5 minutes for if you've worked for 25 minutes or 10 minutes if you've worked for 50 minutes. And then you go back in and you do another cycle of complete focused work. For my version of Pomodoro, I have 2 lists, what I call my long list and my short list. My long list is made up of these top three most important tasks for the day, or things that are going to take a significant chunk of time, big projects for the day. My short list is little to-do items that take 10, 15 minutes maybe, that I can knock out in one sitting or one go. I'll even add my daily habits to that short list because most of those are things that I can accomplish relatively quickly. So what I will do when I am lacking in motivation is I will make these 2 lists, and then I will set my timer for 25-30 minutes. Usually the less motivated I'm feeling, the shorter that I will set my timer for. During that time, that is my distraction-free, completely focused time to work on a task from the long list, from my top 3 priorities for the day. This is great for my brain because I tell myself I only have to work on this task for the next 25 minutes. And that's a lot easier for me to wrap my brain around than saying I need to spend the next 8 hours working. Then during my break time, I will actually complete an item from my short to-do list, which is great because it makes me feel like I'm getting things done and being productive when that feeling is not coming from chunking away slowly at the item in my long list. This is anything that would take between 5 and 15 minutes, like doing the dishes, going through the mail, checking or responding to an email. And that's my system for days when I'm feeling very low motivation. Often I won't even use my ideal week or my ideal day in that case. I will just chunk through that list, switching back from long to short just to keep myself moving, especially since those are days where I'm more prone to be sleepy and tired and just dragging my feet on those long tasks. All right, the third system that I use is best for when I have choice paralysis. Deciding on what task to do or to start with in the day is sometimes the hardest thing. Starting the task can be very daunting. And so what I will do on days like this is either if I have made my daily planner, I will just use that. Otherwise, I am writing out the items that are coming to mind that I need to get done today. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign a number to each task. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I will do any task that needs to get done. So even for studying, this would be number 8. And so I will give a number to each to-do list item. If there are items that are higher priority, let's say film this video is the most important task I need to do today. That's number 9. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to random number generate the task that I'm going to start on. This helps me have to not decide what task I'm going to start with. If I have a high priority item, what I want to do is I want to assign it more numbers so that it is a higher likelihood, higher probability that the random number generator will land on that task. So maybe I'll assign 9, 10, and 11 to film this video. So then I will go online, or will type in RNG in Google, and that will pull up this random number generator. I want to make my max whatever is the highest number that I wrote. For this example, that's 11. I'm going to click generate, and that's going to choose one of my to-do list items. I got 11, so I'm going back to my list and I'm seeing that 11 is film this video. No matter what it lands on, no second rolls, I have to start on that task, and I either work on that task for 25 minutes or until that task is complete, whichever comes first. Once I've completed that task, I will then take that number, 11, and I will assign it to another task, or I can even leave it on the task that it was currently on if that is my highest priority. So if I'm getting further in the day and I'm like, okay, I've been random number generating and I haven't come across studying yet, but I really need to, I'm gonna add that number next to my master's coursework for the day so that now that has a higher probability of coming up the next time I'm going to random number generate. Then I will either take a short break if I need it, or I will just go straight into repeating, doing that random number generator again, and then doing the task that it comes up with. The great thing about this system for days in which I am struggling with choice paralysis is that I cannot dread a task because I don't know what task is going to come up. While I'm working on something, I can't think, oh, but then I'm gonna have to do that other thing next, because I don't know what that next item is. It helps keep me focused in the here and the now without distractions on the task that I am working on. And then finally, the fourth productivity system that I will use is for days when I am just in complete overwhelm. I cannot consider organizing my tasks, making a to-do list, prioritizing items. That is just too much for me to handle on that day. What I will do in that time is I won't do any productivity systems. Whatever task is bothering me, that is taking up all of my mind space, I will just start on that task and I will just chunk away at it until it is causing me less stress. This is great because it tackles the cause of my stress, and then maybe midday I'm feeling less stressed about that one thing that I'm just over focusing on, and then I can go through and prioritize and organize the rest of my tasks. In that moment, if I'm just completely overwhelmed for the day, I don't want to look and see all of the tasks that I have to do. It's just going to overwhelm me more. So I will just not look at them and work on the thing that I know that I need to do, the thing that I know is causing me stress. Every day is different. and we can't know exactly how we're going to feel when we wake up. Play around with some of these techniques. See if you can make them your own, make them work for you, and see if any of these can help you on days where you're not feeling your most productive or organized self. I hope this was helpful to you for finding different productivity systems that might work for one day, but don't work for every day. One of those systems that I talked about is my ideal week. If you want to check out the video that I made on how I create and organize my ideal week to make sure that I am not overcommitting or overfilling my calendar, check that out up here, and stay tuned for more productivity videos later on.